Hi kids, Mike Kelly again from animatorsforum.com. One of the people following me on YouTube asked if I could demonstrate my workflow in animation. I've already demonstrated some of my workflow in terms of creating a character, so I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do here, and it's based upon the Shuttle Pro, although you don't have to use the Shuttle Pro. You could use the keyboard, for example, but if I were to bring this up here just to show you what this looks like, except to get rid of this. Come on. Okay, the Shuttle Pro, this is kind of what the device looks like. It's the top. This is the top of the device, and so it's got all these buttons, and you rest your hand on it, and you can press all these various buttons, and they can do lots of things like keystrokes or macros or whatever. And I have, and they can be assigned to different programs to do different things. Actually, I have two Shuttle Pros. One does my create, so when I'm actually drawing things, and then the other one does animate. So I can have a hand and move my hand to each one. So when I'm animating, I have my hand on the very leftmost, my left hand on the Shuttle Pro, and my right hand is on the mouse. And my philosophy is to always keep both of those hands firmly there, never touch the keyboard, and I don't really have to. The other philosophy is I don't want to move the mouse out of the workspace or timeline. I don't have to move it over here and choose a tool, which is why all these buttons are assigned to the various tools that I have. And either they do the keystrokes directly, either they press the hotkeys to bring up the tools, or in some cases, for example, on button number 4, it chooses the bone layer of the character first. So it burrows down, finds the bone layer, and then switches into the tool mode. So that's what the Shuttle Pro does. You could easily do that on the keyboard if you wanted to, but it just fits my hand real well. And so here's the 4 principal keys I use when I'm animating are assigned to the very top of that Shuttle Pro. And the first key is this character select key. And you'll notice when I clicked on there, it selected the character's name. Let me show you something. I don't normally even have layers showing because I don't really need to. I can click directly on the characters. If I have multiple characters in there, I just select directly on them, and that changes to that character. So I don't normally bother even showing the layers, and I don't care about the layers. I certainly don't want to burrow down and get all the sub layers. That's what all my tools do automatically for me. So in this particular case, and I've demoed this tool before, simply by clicking on a character, it makes it active, and then you can do the things for that character layer that you might need to do in terms of translation or rotation or scaling. So that's that character tool. And then if we'll go into here. So that's one tool I have that moves the basic character around. The second basic tool I have is the bone tool. You notice, once again, the mouse stayed here. I didn't move it over here to select any tools. I just pressed a key on the Shuttle Pro. And this brings up my bone tool. And I've showed off this before as well. This does a whole lot of things in addition to doing regular rotation and translation. I just press different keys for it to do things. And it's kind of like a Swiss Army tool for bones. But that's... in addition to that, I also have it do things with the hands because I found it was very natural to, when I was moving things around, also change the hands. So if I hold down a special key on this, I can get it to change the switch layers on those hands. So if I decide that I want a pointer, for example, some pointer, I can easily change to that hand and do that at the same time I'm doing the actual bones, and I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I don't have to go and change the different hand. If I want to change the other hand, I can click on that instead and move that around to some different hands and still move the bones then by just releasing that. So I'm staying in the mode. My philosophy about animation is that you don't want to have to think about too much of what you're doing. It needs to be more of an organic process. So if you're trying to think about what you're doing, then you kind of lose the flow of how it looks. And so that's just my philosophy. I don't know if that's a good one or not, but it works for me. What little I have. So anyway, and that's my bone tool. Then I have the second tool over is my eyes tool, and this, once again, I can move the mouse and adjust the eyelids, so I can adjust them in different things, and I can also adjust the eyebrows so that I can adjust that. Now that I do have to come up here and adjust. I can't use the mouse for that, but I can also adjust the pupils. So I can move them around to various areas by simply I'm just selecting another key on that keyboard. I'm sorry, on the Shuttle Pro to modify the movement of that. So that helps me change things, and it's very convenient to be able to move things around and get just all kinds of interesting interesting animation without having to do a whole lot of work. And then the last key I have is the mouth key, which I think once again I've demonstrated a lot of these tools singularly, but if I demonstrate them now, if I click on the timeline, I'm sorry, in the workspace, it sets down a key for that. But I can also then set other keys by simply selecting other tools. And I've shown this off before. I can select different mouths and things, and so and I can load the mouths in for the data for the talking and the stuff. So that's all here and easy to control once again with the mouse. And I think you can see that by pressing these keys, and I can easily change things without having to do too much work and effort, and get a lot of animation in a very easy manner. So anyway, that's my workflow. So and I have other keys assigned to the Shuttle Pro, like rendering and a key to play the timeline. So if I go in here, it plays the timeline, and to me it just makes it so much easier to animate when you have all your special functions assigned and you can do it all in one workflow. And I used to be that when I would animate, I would go through separately and do the eyebrows and the eyes and the mouth. But now with all these tools organically connected, I find it's just easier just to go ahead and animate as I'm going along and change things, and I can get through animations very quickly. So that's my workflow. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon on the forums.